Hi guys, welcome back to another For Honor helmet. This is Kyle from Regrettable Props, and we are covering the Conqueror helmet. I put a poll on which faction you guys would like to see covered next on one of my Facebook groups, and it was the Knights that won, and we're covering the Conqueror helmet, which is what we're doing currently. The templates you see here are all going to be in the description. They're going to be on a Google Docs, on a PDF format, 9x11 paper. The blue foam is 5mm in thickness. The green is 1mm, and then the white foam that you'll be seeing is going to be 10mm in thickness. Now the blue foam is going to be, you see how it has like the rectangular box and has like three sections to it. That is just for those lines that are in by 2.5 centimeters are in just for scoring. It's not set to the actual length because I just took the blue foam and just wrapped it around my head and figured out how long I needed it to be to go around my head and length. So you guys would just need to adjust this for your own head circumference. And then afterwards you can just see we scored it briefly, and I'm just rolling it up a little bit to make it easier for gluing the two ends together. If you guys have any concerns with the templates, please just make out some test pieces on paper first as opposed to wasting your foam. Once we can glue the two ends together, I have a top circle piece cut out, but depending on the size of your head, you may need to adjust that circle size or oval size yourself. Or if you want, you could figure it out just by putting the edge of the outside piece down on the foam or a piece of paper, and then just tracing the inside, because we're going to be having that top circle sit in a little bit. Also, I have a score line where you just not a score line, a section line where you need to remove some foam because there is a bit of a taper on this section of the helmet. Afterwards, I glued from the inside and then glued on the inside, connecting the top to the side pieces, as well as filling in that valley where we had foam cut out, and then I used hot glue once again to fill in the seams where the texture met with the top cap of the helmet, just to fill in those areas a bit. Now we're doing the faceplate. Only one of the pieces need to have a 45-degree angle cut on the side for where they will meet as well. When I was recording this, I was still figuring out all the templates myself. So there's a diamond checkered pattern on the foam. I will be showing you guys how to do it yourself, but just cut out all those little pieces. I know it's going to be tedious, and then just trace them onto the faceplates. Make sure you're continuously sharpening your blade or whatever you're using to cut your foam continuously throughout this build. Now I'm just using the tip of the box cutter to go in a little bit and cut out each diamond section. Now I'm trying to do as best as I can, but I am using the tip of the pencil to poke through each of the corners on that diamond to help push that through, because once I get it through as well as I can with the box knife, I'm not able to get it all the way through just due to the nature of how small those holes are. But using a pencil or a pen and just poking on each corner section, and you can just push it through, and you'll be able to have that diamond cut out for the faceplates. Remember to do this for both sides, and with the magic of video editing, I glue it together. Those faceplates just with hot glue. You can use contact cement if you want, and then there you guys go for that section so far. Now I'm adding some not necessarily darts, but once again more areas where I'm removing foam, because when we heat seal this before sealing it with Modge Podge later in the video, the faceplate's going to want to flare out at the bottom, and that's not necessarily the style that we're looking for this helmet. Now I'm not going all the way through, just cutting out a little bit of the foam, going in on one side at angle 45 degrees and going on to the other, removing it so that way there's a valley, and I am just filling in those sections with hot glue. You may need to add more valleys afterwards once you heat gun the foam, because you're going to see that it may flare out a bit more. because we want to retain its shape as best as it can. Now we're going to be attaching the faceplate to the helmet. Depending on how far you want it sitting against your face, you may want to have it adjusted depending on the sides. I'm looking at a mirror and making sure that I have the edge where the faceplate meets both half match the section of where the top sides meet, so that way they're perfectly in line with each other. And then I'm just looking in the mirror, marking on both sides where I need to put some hot glue, and then I'm just attaching it with some hot glue. Now there are some angular slanted pieces on the faceplate just right below the eye holes. I'm cutting them out in 5mm foam, and then one of the curved edge, one of the edges on each piece needs to have a 45-degree angle, and then one of the pieces need to have a 45-degree angle once again cut for where the two blue pieces will meet together. Now I am using 1mm craft foam, and I am just cutting out a strip of it. I am having the two end pieces of it, like there's no length piece to it, because the body of that section is 3 centimeters in width, and then just the end is what you have the template out for. So depending on how you guys adjust the faceplate or the height of the top blue section of foam may determine the length of the green. Once again, I cut out the bottom, and then now we're just doing the top, and I'm having a little bit more left because it needs to come down and divide the eye holes into left and right halves. Now just copy what I'm doing off the screen. I traced out roughly how much I wanted, and then I gave a little bit of excess, and then I adjusted it accordingly, and then just followed the contour of the face shape for the bottom part of the green where there's not the pointy end. And make sure when you guys are gluing it, you may not be able to tell it right now, that you have it straight in line with everything else, because that top section is on my helmet not straight, and I am realizing this now, and it would have been too much of a hassle to figure it out. Also, there's no top template. There's no template for this top piece of foam, but I just did it once again in 3 centimeters in width. Once again, depends on if you adjusted the helmet size at all. And then I'm just following the contour of the edges of the helmet, and then just making sure it matches up, and I'm connecting it with hot glue. Here you can see all that we've done so far, and we are pretty much done any foam construction. I am marking out with some black dots where I need to put some googly eyes as fake rivets. You don't see it currently, but later on the video, I missed at this current time of recording a strip of, or that bottom area of the top blue having googly eyes as well. Also, I just marked out where I'm having some battle damage. You guys can add more, completely up to your preference. Those odd shaped ones that are not straight lines are where I'm carving out the foam with, you can use a Dremel. I'm just carving out the foam with my X-Acto knife and then just leaving it kind of chunky. And here we're doing like slits where battle damage from blades would have been done. I'm coming in on one side about 45-degree angle, and then coming in on the other side about 45-degree angle. That way it's a much deeper groove. Now here we have heat treated the foam with a heat gun. You can use a toaster oven if you so see fit, or a blowtorch. If you're going to use the blowtorch or any type of flame, make sure you do it outside, and don't forget to do the edges of the foam like along where I just pointed out. Also, this back section is, we are going to be making some fake chainmail. I'm using that 1/2-inch PVC pipe, and I'm just cutting out small pieces on with my scroll saw. You can have bandsaw or normal saw, or you could use that type of mesh fabric if you want and just paint it to the correct color. And make sure if you think you have enough fake chain PVC, make sure you just cut out more, because you're gonna be, I underestimated on how many I needed, but make sure you guys cut out more than you need. you just saw, we used a sponge brush to seal the foam with some Modge Podge. You can use a blow dryer afterwards to speed up the drying process once you have it done. Do your best to make sure there's no streaks, and then afterwards I am covering the entire helmet in a matte black as well as those fake chainmail pieces, and then I'm mixing a silver and a black to get a darker metal color, and I'm just using a huge fan brush and just slowly building up the gray or silver metallic look that we have, making sure it's not entirely consistent and fully blocking out the black, but enough that it looks like it's dark silver. And then I did the same for the PVC chains. Coated them black first, and then I just followed went over with silver. Also, I used a flannel fabric for the back covering. I cut out a piece that is 9 inches in height and 18 inches in length, and I am just using hot glue to round those edges over. You can use a sewing machine if you want. Just for time and my skill set, I just used hot glue, and then we're just laying out here these PVC fake chainmail pieces. If you're going to glue them, which I did to the actual chainmail, make sure you're gluing the top of it. That way the bottom is a little bit free, and gives it some makes it seem like it's not as fake. You can certainly add more pieces to it, the more authentic it looks. Here I'm just going through with a huge fan brush, mixing some browns and blacks together and just dry brushing all over the flannel material, and then going through and doing the same with the helmet and some of the crevices where the faceplate meets. As well, I'm mixing a dark black and the brown so it's more of a darker consistency, and filling in those battle damaged areas. And then I am just doing a black wash for the vast majority of the helmet, and then wiping away the excess when needed. If you guys need to slow this part on the YouTube function on your computer, slow down the speed so you can see it better if you so see fit. And then I'm using my initial silver color to use dry brushing the highlighting edges of the entire helmet. And here you can see we have the entire helmet completed. I used hot glue to attach that flannel to the helmet. You can see that the faux chainmail that we've made has a little bit of freedom to move. That's because we only attached the top part of it and left the bottom free. If you guys feel like that's not enough attaching it, make sure you can also do the bottom. And I just glued those to the flannel with some hot glue. And you can see the rest of the helmets that we've made from the Knight faction. Next helmet I'll be making from For Honor will be one of these samurai helmets. Links to the files are in the description, as well as the materials that are also used will be in the description. Hope you guys have a good day. This has been Kyle, and from Regrettable Prop, signing off.